So this week I asked the question, how can a coffee filter help protect your watercolor painting? And I got such a big response from that. A lot of people were really interested in knowing a little bit more. So I decided to make another video a little longer than a minute to dive a little bit deeper. So we're going to find out today how a coffee filter can help protect your watercolor. If we haven't met yet, I'm Viv. I'm the founder of Watercolor with Viv, Art with Viv, and I am going to take you and show you how. So come on, let's go. So I have a painting here. I have my Dorland's wax medium. You don't have to use Dorland's. You can use any cold wax medium. I just happen to have Dorland's. Now here are some of the things you want to remember. Start with a clean, completely dry, lint-free watercolor painting. Make sure you get all of the lint off of it. Dry it. Make sure your hands are clean. Make sure you've signed your watercolor painting. If you don't sign it, once you get the wax on, it's going to be hard to sign. All right, once it's clean, you've got your wax. Now you want to take a lint-free coffee filter. You can also use an eyeglass cleaner, one of those cloths that you use for an eyeglass to clean your eyeglasses. I'm using a coffee filter because they're inexpensive. They come in, packs of, 5 million. I'm just joking. But they're inexpensive. You'll want to get a little bit of wax on. And then you'll just start buffing it over the entire surface. The entire surface of your watercolor painting. Now you don't have to worry, your watercolor's not gonna bleed. It is water soluble, not wax soluble. Another tip is, not only do you want to do the front, but you want to do the back. Do your back as well. Make sure you cover your back because that will give it complete protection. All right, so once you've got all of that on, you're going to let it dry. Let it dry for 12 hours at least, depending on humidity. 12 to 24 hours. We have a hurricane coming right now, so it's a little humid. It's going to take a little bit while longer for the wax to dry. So let that wax dry completely. Once it's dry, I've already done this one. I did this one in my 1 minute tip this week. Once it's dry, just take another clean coffee filter and you can buff it. You can put this up and then buff it to a nice sheen. You can add a second layer once you get this done. Wait another 12 hours and then reapply wax for the second coat. Now if you don't want that sheen, you can kind of see it. It's not like it's shiny. It just has a satiny sheen. If you don't want a sheen, just don't buff your second layer of wax. Do front and back. And once it's dry, this one's dry, and you have it buffed, it will be water repellent. I'm going to put a little bit of water on here so you can see. See how the water just beads up? So it's not waterproof. See all that water beading up? It just beads up on the surface. It's not waterproof, but it is water resistant. So once you put that wax on, you can put these you can put these without glass. You can frame it without glass. You can mount it to boards. So that kind of gives you more options for framing. And again, just make sure that it's completely dry. Now, if you're buffing and you feel like a little drag, if it's dragging at all, the wax isn't dry. Let it dry a little while longer before you buff it. It should buff out smoothly and evenly. Your cloth should not drag across the surface. If it is, it's still wet. So that's a little further in depth. Just to recap, first you want to start off with a clean, dry watercolor, bone dry. You'll make sure there's no dust on it. Make sure you've signed it so that once you put the wax on, it's going to be harder to sign. We don't want that. Dry it, clean it, get a lint-free cloth. You can use coffee filters, what I suggest, but you can also use like those lint-free eyeglass cleaner cloths that come with your eyeglasses or your readers or whatever. If you're old like me, you got about 10,000 of them running around the house. But anyway, so you can use that, apply the wax to the front and the back because you want it to be protected front and back. You don't want the moisture coming through the back of the painting. So that'll protect it from humidity, front and back. Once you do that, let it dry at least 12 hours, 12 to 24 hours. Then you'll take another clean cloth or coffee filter and you'll buff that wax to a nice sheen. You can add a second coat, go through the same process. You'll just add that second coat, let it dry, and then buff it again after the 12 or 24 hours. Now, if you feel any dragging when you're trying to buff it, it's not, the wax isn't dry. So let it dry a little bit longer and then buff it. After that, you don't have to put it under glass. It is protected from humidity, and you can even mount it on those wooden little panels. Maybe I'll do a video on that. I don't know. I'm here for it though. So anyway, I'm Viv. Thanks for watching, and remember to follow me, Art with Viv, and that is www.artwithviv.com. See you soon.